Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare ऊपर का Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Radhe Jai Radhe Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Shri Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Radhe Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Shri Radhe Jai Krishna Krishna Jai Krishna Jai Shri Krishna Jai Krishna 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 Jai Krishna Jai Shri Krishna Jai Radhe Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Shri Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Radhe Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Shri Radhe Bolo Jai Krishna Krishna Jai Krishna Jai Shri Krishna Jai Krishna Jai Krishna Jai Krishna Jai Shri Krishna Jai Shri One time, maybe it was the 40th anniversary of Juhu Temple, or was it in Vrindavan? I can't remember. Somewhere we brought Giriraj Maharaj by video. And he was telling us a story, because we know when Juhu Temple was being built, and Prabhupada came there. Even though it wasn't ready, he stayed in his rooms. So he was staying there in the rooms upstairs. He insisted that even if it's not ready, he was going to stay there. And we all know Prabhupada had a very dear friend, P.L. Sethi, who, when the city broke our temporary temple, he was the one who rebuilt it. He used to come here in Vrindavan and tell us the story. It was very, it was, I guess it was Saturday, so the courts weren't open till Monday. So he said, we're going to rebuild this temple. And Nair's people said, no way you're going to rebuild this temple. And he looked at his son, he said, Bridge, because his son's name was Bridge Mohan. He still comes to Juhu temple, no? He said, Bridge, you get your gun, and I'll get my revolver, and we'll see who tries to stop us from building this temple. So that was P.L. Sethi. So he was very dear to Prabhupada. He was also a member of a group called Radha Madhav Sankirtan Mandal. And I don't know, every month or every week, I don't know how often, but they used to get together somewhere and do 12-hour kirtan, 6 in the morning to 6 in the evening. So P.L. Sethi insisted that they do it in our temporary temple in Juhu, in front of Ras Bihari. So they came and they started their kirtan. Very beautiful kirtan was going on. And of course they all wanted to see Prabhupada, but he was just lying down. He could hardly move. But Giriraj Maharaj told Prabhupada, he said, all right, I will come to the balcony. They can see me from down, So Prabhupada came out to the balcony and everybody was, very, very happy they saw Prabhupada. And then Giriraj Maharaj told me that Prabhupada, when he sat back down, he said, you tell them that they all come and stay here in Hare Krishna land. I will marry their daughters, I will marry their sons. They stay here and just chant Hare Krishna, that's all. Don't worry about anything. Your daughters and sons, I will get married. You just stay here and chant Hare Krishna. Anyway, in the evening, one lady started singing that song, Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe, Radhe, Jai Radhe, Jai Sri Radhe. And Giriraj Maharaj looked over, and Prabhupada was listening, and tears were coming down his eyes, just listening to this beautiful song. So anyway, no. We just sang.
Full song.
You want to sing the full song? Okay. So if you have your devices, you can look up Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe, Radhe, Jai. Okay. So it's quite long, so if you're following along with your device, then we'll sing all the verses together, and then there's you'll figure it out. We have a nice chorus for each verse, every line. Actually, there's a chorus that we'll sing like that. Except to start it out, we can start out just a regular way. Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe, Radhe, Jai Radhe, Jai Sri Radhe. Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe, Radhe, Jai Radhe, Jai Sri Radhe. Jai Krishna, Krishna, Jai Krishna, Jai Sri Krishna. Jai Krishna, Krishna, Jai Krishna, Jai Sri Krishna. All together. Shama Gauri Nitya Kishori Pritama Jori Sri Radhe. Bolo Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe, Radhe, Jai Radhe, Jai Sri Radhe. Rasika Rasilo Chela Chavilo Gunagavarilo Sri Krishna. Bolo Jai Krishna, Jai Krishna, Krishna. Jai Krishna, Jai Sri Krishna. Rasa Biharini, Rasa Bisarini, Priya Uradarini Sri Radhe. Bolo Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe, Radhe, Jai Radhe, Jai Sri Radhe. Nava Nava Rangi, Navala Tribangi, Shama Suangi, Sri Krishna. Bolo Jai Krishna, Jai Krishna, Krishna. Jai Krishna, Jai Sri Krishna. Prana Piyari, Rupa Ujari, Ati Sukumari, Sri Radhe. Bolo Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe, Radhe, Jai Radhe, Jai Sri Radhe. Manohar Mahamudakar Sundaravachara Bala Shri Krishna Bolo Jai Krishna Jaya Krishna Krishna Jaya Krishna Jaya Shri Krishna Shobha Sreni Mohameni Kokila Veni Shri Radhe Shirati Banta Kamini Kanta Shri Bhagavanta Shri Krishna Bolo Jai Krishna Jai Krishna Krishna Jai Krishna Jai Shri Krishna Chanda Bhavani Kundara Ravani Shobha Savani Shri Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Radhe Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Shri Radhe Parama Udara Prabhapakara Ati Sukumara Shri Krishna Jai Krishna Jai Krishna Krishna Jai Krishna Jai Shri Krishna Hamsa Gamani Rajasara Ramani Krira Kamani Shri Radhe Bolo Jai Radhe Jai Radhe Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Shri Radhe Rupa Vyasala Naina Vikala Parama Kipala Shri Krishna Jai Krishna Jai Krishna Krishna Jai Krishna Jai Shri Krishna Kanchana Devi Ati Rasa Devi Ati Alla Devi Shri Radhe Bolo Jai Radhe Jai Radhe Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Shri Radhe Sab Sukha Sagar Sab Guna Agar Rupa Ujagar Shri Krishna Bolo Jai Krishna Jai Krishna Krishna Jai Krishna Jai Shri Krishna Kamani Ramya Tarutara Tamya Guna Agamya Shri Radhe Bolo Jai Radhe Jai Radhe Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Shri Radhe Vamanivasi Prabha Prakashi Sahaja Suhasi Shri Krishna Jai Krishna Jai Krishna Krishna Jai Krishna Jai Shri Krishna Shakti Aladini Ati Priyavadini Uru Unarini Shri Radhe Bolo Jai Radhe Jai Radhe Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Shri Radhe Anga Anga Tona Sarasa Salona Subhaga Sutona Shri Krishna Bolo Jai Krishna Jai Krishna Krishna Jai Krishna Jai Shri Krishna Radha Namini Guna Abhiramini Hari Priya Swamini Shri Radhe Bolo Jai Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Shri Radhe Hare 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 Shri Krishna Hare 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 Shri Krishna Bolo Jai Radhe Jai Radhe Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Shri Radhe Jai Radhe 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 Jai Radhe Jai Shri Radhe Jai Krishna Krishna Jai Krishna Jai Shri Krishna Jai Krishna 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 Jai Krishna Jai Shri Krishna Jai Radhe Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Shri Radhe Jai Radhe Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Shri Radhe Bolo Jai Krishna 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 Jai Krishna Jai Shri Krishna Jai Krishna Krishna Jai Krishna Jai Shri Did I ever tell you why we do like that? Because sometimes devotees ask me, why do you do that? Jai Jai Sri Radhe. Especially our Western devotees. But actually there's Shastra Praman. Because if you want to get, this is Grihastha Bhajan. Because if you want to get something from a very deep place, they need a hook. Just like sometimes we go on Braj Prikrama, like somehow we managed to find running water there in Jai Kund. But some places no running water. There's hand pump. And sometimes we go some places not even hand pump, there's well. And you don't know the village technology. You know this Bluetooth and I-15 and S22 and you know all this smartphone and all this, you know this technology. But you don't know the village technology. What's so difficult? You take a bucket, you tie a rope around it, and you throw it in the well. Simple. So our devotees, they do like that. They tie the rope around the bucket, and they throw the bucket in the well, and the rope is going through their hands. Ah! You don't know the village technology. That's not how it's done. There's a knot at the end of the rope, and you hold onto that knot, and you throw the bucket. Now bucket, rope, everything gone in the well. So what are we going to do? We have to give 200 rupees to the ashram to buy a new bucket and rope, huh? No, every ashram has got a rope with so many hooks on it. Because this happens often, you know. So they send all those hooks down inside that well, hook on that bucket, and they pull it out. So the same way, our body is just like a well, deep well. But it's not full of water, full of pop. So to get all that pop out of the well, we need a hook. So this Ra Akshar, he's shaped just like a hook. Or just like this English R, you know, shaped just like a hook. Huh? And according to Sangeet Shastra, when you say this sound, Ra, Ra, you can feel it. It goes down, right? You felt it? Ra. Huh? So we go down, we hook all that pop. Then the next letter we call aspirated. Radhe, coming out. Hey. According to Sangeet Shastra, this sound goes up. You can feel it, huh? Hey. Huh? Sham. When you say this ma akshar, then this becomes band, closed. So you hook all that pop, you pull it all out, and band. Don't let it come back. Jai Jai Sri Radhe. Now don't let it come back. So this place is called Ramtal. And you see sitting underneath this beautiful banyan tree is Sobari Rishi. Because one time Jamuna was, it's actually not so far from here actually, but that time it was flowing closer by. And we remember Sobari Rishi was doing his meditation under the water. And every once in a while, Garuda would come. Because he would like to catch the fish. Because that's the natural food for a bird, for an eagle, is fish. He's a Vaishnava, he's the greatest of the Vaishnavas, but his natural food is fish. So he would come and catch the fish. Now Sobari Rishi was sitting there in the water meditating, he would see the fish at great distress, Guru would come and catch them. So, although Guru is a great Vaishnava, he took it upon himself to give him some instruction, that don't come here and take these fish. He thought he could give advice to his elder Vaishnava. Like that. So Garuda continued to ignore him and just come and take fish. So one day, not only did he think he could give instructions to Garuda, but he decided to curse him, that if you come here again, your head will split and you will die. You come here to catch the fish and you will die. So he cursed, he threw a curse at this great Vaishnava. We have to be very, very careful that we don't commit offenses to Vaishnavas. It's very, very dangerous. Our whole bhakti will get stuck up. Won't stop completely, nothing can stop bhakti, but it will become delayed. It's like sometimes devotees are wondering why I'm having so much trouble in my bhakti, things seem to be going very slow. But Jiva Goswami in his Satsandarbha, his Bhakti Sandarbha specifically, he said bhakti is the most powerful and swiftest path. Paramasvatantra, completely independent and all powerful. And he gives the example from, I can't remember which Puran, but there was one little bird we call sparrow. I don't know what you call it in Hindi, but and I've seen Goreya. Well, everybody, chidiya means any type of bird. Goreya. I've seen them all the way from Kanyakumari up to Badrinath, and New Zealand and Australia and Fiji, everywhere I've seen them. So he was sitting in a tree by the Vishnu temple. And one hawk came. And hawks, they like to eat little birds, right? So the hawk immediately swooped down and attacked him, and he flew, and he was going round and round and round the Vishnu temple, and that hawk caught him and killed him and ate him. And immediately his spirit soul came out with a four-armed form and went back to the Vaikuntha. That's how powerful bhakti is. So then Jiva Goswami says, why are we having so much trouble? He said, bhakti is very easy. That's the easy part. Because he's a bird. He doesn't even know that he's circumambulating Vishnu temple, but he got the result. It's so powerful. He said, the trouble is Vaishnav aparad. Then he quotes from Skanda Puran, one verse talking about the 6 Vaishnav aparads. Every day we recite, in some temples we recite the 10 Nam aparads, these are our initiation ceremony. But this one talks about the 6 Vaishnav aparads. Hanti ninanti vaidveshti vaishnava nabhinandati krudyante yadino harsham darshanam pattatani shat. Pattatani, patta means to fall down. Pattatani shat. These are the 6 ways of Vaishnav aparad. Hanti, we know Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says, Na hanyate hanyamane. We cannot do any harm to the soul, right? So Hanti means if you commit violence to a Vaishnava. Hanti Ninnandi. Oh, this is our favorite. Did you hear? Wow, he's what a rascal he is. He thinks he's a big We love to blaspheme and criticize, so our ears pick up. So, if you want to drive the devotees away, you say, Om Namo Bhagavate. Oh, Prabhu, I have to go to my emails. If you want to bring the devotees, say, Mahaprasadi Gopi. So, Hanti Nindanti Vai or Dveshti, to be envious of a Vaishnava. Hanti Nindanti Vai Dveshti Vaishnav Anabhinandati. Abhinandan, means to welcome. So if a Vaishnav comes and we don't give proper welcome to that Vaishnav, that is also offense. Vaishnav Anabhinandati, we don't welcome. Prabhupada said even if you're doing the puja and a Vaishnav comes, you can stop and properly welcome the Vaishnav. So to not properly welcome a Vaishnav, Hanti Nindanti Vaidveshti Vaishnava Nabhinandati Krudyante. Somehow or other in Sanskrit by Sandhi, the noun becomes crowed, but the verb is krudyante, crude. To become angry at a Vaishnava. Yadino harsham darshanam patatanishat. So yadi if darshanam, we see a Vaishnav, and harshanam, na harsham, we don't feel happy in our hearts, that is also offense. Yadi, what is that? Hanti nandi vaidveshi vaishnava navinandi krudyante yadi no harsham. If you're not happy, darshanam, by seeing a Vaishnav, and that is also offense. Then you think, oh, Bhakta Falana is coming. Bhaktin Falani is coming. Oh my God. Now you know why you're having so much trouble in your devotional life. These are the 6 Vaishnava aparas. Hanti vinandi vaidveshti vaishnava nabhinandati krudyanti yadino harsham darshanam patatanishat. Because when we see a Vaishnava, we should feel so happy. Because I fly all around the world, I see so many faces, people just in super first class enjoyers, just lust is dripping off their noses and out of their eyes. And you never see a Vaishnava. So if we see a Vaishnava, we should feel very happy. Just like one time I made a trip all the way around the world, and it was coming up to Rath Yatra. So I decided to go to Rath. I landed in Delhi and I planned my flights. I just jump out of that flight and run into the flight to Bhubaneswar. And I got in the plane, and whole time, not one single Vaishnava. All of a sudden I looked up, and coming down the aisle was a wonderful Vaishnava that I knew from Mauritius. And then I looked in behind and come the jolly face of Navayogendra Swami Maharaj. So I was so happy. We never saw any Vaishnava. All of a sudden, all these Vaishnavas got on the plane, and we flew for Bhubaneswar and went for Rath Yatra. So anyway, he committed this grave offense. As a result of his offense, sometimes because he was underneath the water, and so he saw the fishes engaged in their pastimes, and his mind became agitated. This is what happens. We commit offense, so we lose our enthusiasm, then Maya attacks us. So he got agitated by seeing the fish. So he came out of the water. That time there was a king nearby. Was it Manduka Maharaj? Mandata Maharaj. So he went to Mandata Maharaj. He said that I want to get married, so please give me one of your daughters. Now, when you're washing the dishes, right, after just a half hour, your fingers get all crinkly and white and weird, So you can imagine, he'd been living under the water, his whole body was like that. Scraggly beard and everything. Mandata Maharaj looked, and of course these kings, they're not kings for no reason, they're very clever, So he said, oh, why not? Of course, I have 50 daughters, whichever one wants to marry you, she can marry you. He got out of it very cleverly. So the sages are also very clever. So he understood how Maharaj was talking in this political way, diplomatic way. So he understood what the problem was. So by meditating in the water, he got some power. So he made himself very, very beautiful and handsome. And then all the 50 girls, they gave up their friendly, sisterly love, and then began to fight one another. No, he's for me. No, he's for me. No, he's for me. Get out of the way. He's for me. No, get out of the way. He's for me. They all began to fight. So that he married 50 daughters of Mandata Maharaj. So, by his Vaishnava aparad, he not only fell down one time into the deep dark well of house, but 50 times. Just like we went to the Venu Koop the other day, this is the Underkoop. So somehow, in Fiji, in Ramanak Island, Garuda used to come there, and because eagles, they also like to eat snakes. So the snakes there on the island, they got tired of this. They said, look, you please don't bother us. We'll make a nice offering for you every month or whatever it was, a week or every month, whatever. and you please leave us alone peacefully and let us live peacefully. So Garuda agreed. So every once in a while they would make this they cook this great big feast and leave it for Garuda to come and take. But Kaliya, he became very puffed up. So why should Garuda get this big feast? I'm going to eat this feast. So Kaliya came and he ate up the feast. And as soon as Garuda came, he understood that this was Kaliya. And Kaliya just stood up with his 1,000 hoods, and Garuda just smashed him with his wing. And he was just completely not bowled over, and he began to run. And Garuda was chasing him and swatting him with his wings, and he was just completely destitute. So somehow Kaliya knew that this place on the Jamuna, that Sobari Rishi, he's cursed this part of the Jamuna. Garuda can't come here. So he immediately came here and took shelter of the Jamuna. And then all the backwaters, the big lake was here all the way up to Kaliyagat. And everything beyond here, beyond Kaliyagat, was so poisonous. It says that all the trees, it's like, I'm so happy. Last time I came here, they were just beginning to start on this project, now so many, we can't even see the Kund. We have to go down to see this special Kund. But all the trees just dried up and died. And it's said that the fumes from the water, even if a bird flew over just by the fumes, he would fall down dead in the water. So this was the situation. So one day, Krishna, Balaram, and all the cowboys, they came with all the cows, I can't remember, running through the forest. And they came to that part of the Jamuna, because it stretched all the way up there to Kaliyagat. And all the cowboys, they immediately saw the crystal clear water of Jamuna, and they just started thinking, and the cows also. Because ordinarily, you're lucky you came this time of year. This time of year is so pleasant. This is the best time. February is the best month in Braj. Because most of the time, everybody's just, oh Prabhu, where's pani? That's the first word our Western devotees learn in Hindi. Pani, pani. So they were playing, so naturally they're very hungry, so all the cows went down, and the cowboys went down, and they drank the water of the Jamuna, and they all died. And Krishna came and he saw the scene. He immediately placed his glance on all the cowboys and cows, and they all came back to life. Then he realized that this was Garuda. And there was a big kadamba tree. Now there's two stories about this kadamba tree, because we heard that all the trees had dried up. But in one Purana it says that Garuda knew that Krishna will come in Dwapar Yuga to do this pastime, so he put a drop of nectar on top of this kadamba tree. So it became eternal. And some Puranas say that, because we're going to see Krishna, he climbed up in the tree. When it was touched by Krishna's foot, some Puranas say that it again revived and became an eternal kadamba tree. So it may be 5 million years old, maybe 5,000 years old. But anyway, now it's an eternal kadamba tree. So he climbed up in the tree, he flapped his arms, tightened his belt, and then he jumped in the water. He began to make lots of noise. And Kali was down in the bottom. He heard all this noise. Who's invading my home? So he came up and he saw Krishna. And immediately he just wrapped his coils around Krishna. Krishna was completely wrapped up in the coils of Kaliya. And with his 1,000 hoods and his beady yellow eyes, he was just staring at Krishna. And all the cowboys just, and all the cows, their eyes became so big. And then all over Braj, the inauspicious things, there was meteors even in the daylight, the earth was shaking, jackals were howling. Have you ever heard the jackals? Sometimes, you know, in Mayapur you can hear them in the night, you know. Oh, I hate that sound. So everybody, they saw these inauspicious symptoms. They knew something must have happened to Krishna, so they all ran down to the bank of the Juma. They knew Krishna had gone down that way. So they all went down. And everyone saw Krishna wrapped in the coils of Kali in the middle of the Kali lake, you know, and they're, and Mother Yasoda, she just was ready to jump in, and Balarami stopped her and said, it's just a little pani samp, nothing going to happen, you know. And Mother Yasoda fainted, you know. Radharani and all the Sakhis, they were just, you know. And Krishna stayed there in the water of Kaliyagad and wrapped in the coils of Kaliya for almost 2 hours. And all the Brijbasis were just intensely staring. Because if you intensely stare at anything, then you really become absorbed. Just like when you go on Vrindavan Prikrama and you come down to Brahagad and then you turn, just a little ways down you see a beautiful garden, all natural, just all the old branch trees are there, nobody bothers it. That place is called Madan Ter. Because one time Krishna was getting ready for the rasa dance. They were all out there in the forest in the night time, in the full moon. So Madan, Cupid, he thought, now I'm going to show off my power. And he took his 5 arrows, sound, smell, touch, what did I miss? Sight, roop, you know, and taste. He put them on his bow and he aimed at Krishna. When you take aim, then you concentrate very hard on your target, you know. So he was concentrating. He fainted. So even Madan became Mohan. Everybody in the whole universe became Mohit by Madan, but he became Mohit. So Krishna became known as Madan Mohan. And Radharani is even able to bewilder Krishna, so she's Madan and Mohana Mohi. So anyway, all the Vishvasis like that, they were just staring at Krishna, you know. From outside it looked like they were suffering. But actually they were in the most greatest ecstasy, just intensely staring at Krishna. Just like I became devotee in a place called Boulder, Colorado, that's at the foot of the Rocky Mountains. So in the winter it snows, gets very cold. And we used to go to the big city nearby is Denver, so we used to go to Denver and we chant, you know. And it's like, what do I say? I guess -5 degrees or something, -10 degrees, you know. And we're chanting, and it was so cold. We just had to concentrate wholeheartedly on the holy name, because as soon as you lost your concentration, the holy name, what am I doing out here? You know, and we were just concentrating, and we were the only people in the streets with smile. Everybody else had their, overcoats on, and and all the devotees, we were concentrating so much on the holy name, because if we forgot the holy name, then and we were in ecstasy. In fact, one girl came by, and she saw we were the only people in the street smiling. And she just stood there. Finally, her hands got freezing. She went inside the department store, came back with some gloves, and continued to watch the kirtan. And she went to the temple and became a devotee. So people thought, people would come by and say, "Oh, your guru's probably in Hawaii enjoying, and you're out here in the cold," But we were in ecstasy. So they were staring at Krishna so intensely. They were actually totally in ecstasy. So when they were just on the edge of giving up their lives, Krishna, boop, he slipped out of Kaliya's coils. And then he jumped on one of his hoods and began to dance. And Kaliya brought up another hood, and he kicked that one down and jumped on that one. And then he began to dance some more, and he kicked that one and jumped on the next one. So any girls here taking Indian dance lessons? Or no Indian dance? We don't have any. Always I find one or two. Nobody knows Indian dance, huh? But anyway, you can imagine that if you dance, you want a nice, You want a nice steady stage. like sometimes in India they don't put it, they tie it all together and it's going like that. But it's a nice steady stage. But Krishna's stage was going like this and like this and like this. And even Nataraj, Lord Shiva, who's the king of dance, he came. Even he couldn't understand the rhythms that Krishna was playing in his dance. Even Brahma with his 4 heads, he was bewildered. Watching Krishna dance, so beautifully dancing, and the stage was going up and down and up and down and up and down like that. Finally, Kaliya, he became completely battered. And finally, black smoke was coming out of his nostrils. He was vomiting a black poison. Actually, sometimes the Brijbasis say that's why Krishna is black, from the... What is that? Mikaliya naga nataya re isli mikala hoon. Was that Binod Agarwal sings that nice song? So finally the Nagapatnis came. Although they were married to him, they were great devotees. And they offered Bhagavatam so many beautiful prayers. And they're just praying that now the marks of your lotus feet are coming on our husband's head. We don't know what he did. All the great demigods, Brahma, Shiva, Indra, they all want to get the touch of your lotus feet and the marks of your lotus feet. And he's getting the touch of your lotus feet on his heads. What did he do? We have no idea. The sages, Asita, Devala, Vyasa, they all want Krishna's lotus feet. He's getting those lotus feet. What did he do? But eventually they said, please save him. We don't all want to become widows. You please save our husband anyway, anyhow. So only the Vaishnavas can affect the heart of Krishna. So luckily, Kaliya, he had great Vaishnavis for his wives. By their prayers, then Krishna decided to spare him. And Kaliya also, because he had vomited up all that poison, he got it all out of his system. He began to realize who he was playing with, So he made some beautiful offerings that talks about in Srimad Bhagavatam, beautiful offerings. And he also offered so many beautiful prayers. And then Krishna told him, all right, now you must leave this place. You go back to that Ramanak island in the middle of the ocean and don't bother this Braj. So then he took off, and of course, in Jait they say he looked back, and because Krishna told him not to look back, but he looked back and became stone. But anyway, the Bhagavatam stories, he went back to Ramanak island, and Prabhupada said, confirmed that he's there in Fiji somewhere. So this place is the beginning of that whole Leela, Ram Tal. The Tal comes from Talab, so we're going to see when the ASI came here, they dated the bricks. You see, they're big, they're flat, very flat like this, but they're very big bricks like this. And they could only find out that they finally dated them 1,200 years old, the bricks that made the line, the Kund, and they found something unique of all the Kunds they've ever seen. They had iron sheets underneath the bricks, in between the bricks, to make it nice seals so the rainwater would come and stay. We've never seen that in any other Kund, but here there was iron sheets. So even back thousands of years ago, they knew how to make iron and all these things. We think we're advancing with our big factories and sail and whatever. But they knew all these things even then. So anyway, this was just a neglected little pond here. Such a horrible Kali Yuga sound, huh? This is a Ristasura. Because of the tractor, they have no more use for the bulls, so they're, it's not legal, but they're going. I won't say anything in this holy place, but anyway. So that's a Ristasura. So anyway, Braj Foundation came here, and I'm just astounded what they've done with this place, because I came here they were starting to landscape and everything, and very beautiful place they've made here. And it's interesting, as we're going around Braj, sometimes we'll see some villages and they have Sobri Rishi Inter-College, Sobri Rishi Pratamik Vidyalaya, Sobri Rishi Madhyamik Vidyalaya, like that. And I was always wondering, who would want to make a name an institution after Sobri Rishi? But then he had 50 wives, right? So we have no idea how many children he had. So all the descendants are all over Braj. So to honor their great ancestor, they make Sobri Rishi Inter-College. So we can see Sobri Rishi's beautiful banyan tree sitting under here under the banyan tree.
How old is it?
Uh-huh.
How old is it? Banyan?
I have no idea how old this banyan tree is. Huge old banyan tree. But ASI said those bricks were at least 1,200 years old. So anyway, there's a nice little path. We'll go around and enjoy the wonderful landscaping that they've done here and see this old Kund. Hare Krishna. Kaliyadaman ki! There's a nice thing. Blink! Oh, lust went away. Blink! Pride went away. There's no links. You have to do the work. Just like
What? Water?
a little bit later. When I was a little boy, for my school projects, I used to take my father had his subscription to National Geographic magazine, and I used to cut them all up for my projects. Now as I'm older, I can understand how what he must have felt. See all this National Geographic's getting cut up like that, but he never said anything because at least I was learning something. So one time there was an article, because years and years ago they used to use the elephants in the railway. They would push railway cars and lift up the logs and load them onto the cars, and they used them a lot like that. So what they would do is they would catch a small elephant, and then they would take a huge stake, bam, 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 pound it into the ground, and put a rope around his leg. And that little elephant will run around and around and around and around till finally blood is coming, it hurts like anything. Eventually he comes to the conclusion, when they put that stake and they put the rope, then I can't do anything. Now, he's pushing railway cars, he's loading logs onto a railway car, and they come with a little stake like this, bing, 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 put a chain on his leg. Then he just stands there. Maybe sometimes, there's a fire, he sees a fire and he just rips that thing out of the ground and runs, Just like we see sometimes our God sisters and God brothers, they get heart attack and they realize, I better get serious about my bhakti all of a sudden, But he could have done that any time. All the time he was growing and growing. Now he's a huge elephant. He's lifting up logs. What is this little thing in the ground? Nothing. So we just have to keep trying. Don't stop trying. No matter how, no matter cut your foot, you cut your leg, whatever. Just keep trying. One day you'll become so big. You'll just grab that stake with whatever's in your heart, and you'll throw it far away and march on in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Baba, question. Hare Krishna, Baba.
Yeah.
Amongst all the pastimes of Krishna, what is your favorite pastime?
I think all of them are my favorite pastimes. We were telling Giriraj Leela, we didn't tell the Anivar Leela, that's one of my favorites. They're all favorites. I can't think, I never thought about it. They're all favorites for me. Lavanasur. Maybe sometime you come, we'll take you to Madhuvan and tell you about Lavanasur. But of all the places in Braj, my favorite place is Krishna Balaram Mandir. is there I meet Vaishnavas from all parts of India and all parts of the world, and they tell me how Prabhupada's movement is going on. So that's my favorite place in whole of Braj. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare.
Deena Bandhu Prabhu ki
Vaishnava Bhaktagan ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.